Good evening, America. Before you enjoy your movie, let's take a moment to look back at what this year has meant for America. Today, Fox Movie Toad News presents you with 1925, the year in review, brought to you by America's favorite newsreel production company. First, we'll start with the most notable event of the year. Our headline story takes us back to events that transpired this summer in the small town of Dayton, Tennessee. Let us think back to the great attention that the trial of the state of Tennessee versus John Thomas Scopes drew from Americans all over the country. Dubbed the Scopes Monkey Trial, it put the debate over teaching evolution on the front pages of newspapers in every region of our country. The fundamentalists versus the evolutionists conflict came to a head when John T. Scopes, a biology teacher in a small town, was arrested for violating the Butler Act. This piece of state legislation prohibited the teaching of evolution in Tennessee schools. Scopes was backed by the American Civil Liberties Union and the famed Clarence Darrow, who offered to take up the case free of charge. At the head of the prosecution was A.T. Stewart, the district attorney, and William Jennings Bryan, formerly a presidential candidate. On July 11th, journalists and reporters flocked to the tiny town to report on the 11th-day trial. Darrow's cross-examination of Bryan marked a highlight of the extensive trial, as Darrow revealed flaw after flaw in Bryan's argument. The jury ruled that Scopes was guilty, and the teacher was charged with a small fine, which the Baltimore Sun offered to pay. The school board offered to renew Scopes' contract for another year, providing he agreed to abide by the anti-evolution law. But a group of scientists arranged a scholarship that enabled Scopes to begin graduate school at the University of Chicago in September. Bryan, unable to cope with the embarrassment and stress from the trial, died in his sleep 5 days after the trial ended. On appeal, the Tennessee Supreme Court ruled that the jury, rather than the judge, should have determined Scopes' fine, but it also declared the Butler Act to be constitutional.
And you can't make a monkey out of me. You can't make a monkey out of me.
Darrow, who had hoped to take the case to the U.S. Supreme Court, lost his chance when Tennessee's Chief Justice nullified Scopes' indictment and threw the case out of the courts.
Do you hear that, kids? It's the sweet, sweet sound of Sweet Georgia Brown. Listen to Ben, Bernie, and all the lads laying down some silky smooth jazz. Shimmy down to the record store and buy it today. So daddies, grab your dames and descend to the dance floor. And remember that the Charleston's favorite song to dance to is Sweet Georgia Brown.
And now on to the other important events of the year. January 5th marked an important milestone in women's rights. Nellie Ross became the first woman to be elected governor of a U.S. state when she took her inaugural oath in Wyoming at the beginning of this year. Her progressive husband, William Ross, had been governor of Wyoming since 1922. Tragically, he passed away last October due to appendectomy complications. Nellie Ross then received the honor of being nominated by the Democratic Party in Wyoming to run for governor in a special election. Though she refused to campaign for herself in any way, she won the election last November. This year, she has stayed true to her husband's policies, which include banking reform, assistance to farmers, the strengthening of prohibition laws, and laws protecting women workers, minors, and child workers. After becoming the first state to grant women suffrage, it seemed only fitting that such an event should happen in the state of Wyoming. Then, the attention of the nation turned to the wintry Alaskan wilderness this January, when a diphtheria epidemic began in the small, quiet town of Nome, Alaska. Dr. Curtis Welch, a physician and the director of the United States Public Health Service, saw the first signs of the epidemic when an Eskimo came into his office pleading for assistance with his 2 sick children. Dr. Welch arrived at the Sandsplit Eskimo settlement located on the outskirts of Nome to find the children suffering from high temperatures, labored breathing, and red, sore throats. He considered the cause to be diphtheria, but at first he deemed this unlikely, due to the fact that diphtheria had not been seen in this area for roughly 20 years. The Eskimo children died the next day. Then, a few days later, on January 21st, Dr. Welch was called to the home of a white family to examine their 6-year-old son, and recognized the white patches of the diphtheria membrane on the boy's sore throat. Knowing that diphtheria left unchecked would spread with destructive speed, Welch then met with Nome's City Council to explain the importance of getting a diphtheria antitoxin to Nome within 2 weeks. Such a serum would prevent the further spread of the disease and would save the already infected. Fear of the spreading epidemic led local children to create an eerie nursery rhyme.
I was at a dance with a girl named Rhea. I turned around to diphtheria.
And diphtheria. Welch's major goal was to save the Eskimo population, which did not have immunity to white man's diseases, and had already been almost destroyed by the flu pandemic. Just in the nick of time, it was discovered that Alaskan Railroad Hospital in Anchorage had 300,000 units of the serum, just enough to curb the spread of the epidemic. Just in the nick of time, it was discovered that the Alaska Railroad Hospital in Anchorage had 300,000 units of the serum, just enough to curb the spread of the epidemic. In order to transport the serum to the small town of Nome, the serum was taken by train from Anchorage to Niana, and then a relay of sled dogs, such as that one, took the serum over 670 miles from there to Nome. True testament to the American fighting spirit, this melting pot of mushers included skilled and tough Eskimos, Russian Eskimos, Norwegians, Irish, and Indians. On Monday, February 2nd, at 5:30 in the morning, they delivered to Dr. Welch the life-saving serum that within a week quenched the deadly disease. These men provided America with a heroic example of American perseverance. On February 2nd, Richard Sears, a Chicago resident since 1887, opened a retail store in his town, out of which was formerly based his catalog warehouse. The original business, founded there in 1892, later relocated to the larger Enterprise Building in 1896, distributed goods via railroad to nationwide customers over long spans of space and time, are now available to consumers in Chicago on their whim. The warehouse-turned-retailer on Chicago's west side opened its doors to the welcoming public on February 2nd of this fine year. Now the same wares, from table knives to nighties, are ready for use as soon as you are. We can only hope that more expansions are in store. February 21st marked the debut of the New Yorker. Harold Ross founded the magazine with his wife, Jane Grant, who was a reporter for the New York Times. Ross says that his goal was to create a magazine with humor more characterized by witty sophistication than corniness. Partnering with Rahl H. Fleshman, a New Yorker, wealthy entrepreneur, and founder of the General Banking Company, Ross established the F.R. Publishing Company and located the magazine's first offices at 25 West 45th Street in Manhattan. The new magazine has attracted bright wits of the age to its group of contributors, including Dorothy Parker, Ralph Barton, Alexander Wolcott, Ring Lardner. November 28th marked a coming-of-age moment for the young magazine when the issue made front-page news with a piece by Ellen McKay entitled "Why We Go to Cabarets, a Post-Debutante Explains." For the first time, the magazine sold out on newsstands. Ross is currently the editor of the magazine, which prides itself on catering to those with cosmopolitan tastes. 1925 marked the year that Al Capone made his move to Chicago, family in tow. He quickly found work in the local racketeer scene with boss Johnny Torrio. Operating mainly from the Hawthorne Hotel, Capone is rumored to be responsible for distributing alcohol to illegal speakeasies, and what's more, is threatening them to only do business with him, lest they be bombed. Subsequently, Capone is allegedly controlling the Chicago suburb of Cicero, working a gambling joint called The Ship, and is in cahoots with brothels, among them the notorious Stockade. On top of this, Capone has been known to have rigged countless races, and the bets involving them, though he has not limited himself to the racetrack. It is supposed that the government of Chicago has been heavily influenced by the threats of Capone's cronies in the recent primaries. It has been speculated that ballot switching may have occurred when threats have failed. Undoubtedly, however, Capone was involved in the kidnapping of multiple officials that opposed him near election time. On that note, one kidnapping incident resulted in the shooting and slaying of Capone's brother Frank by policemen. The fear now is that Capone will come back with a vengeance. April 10th saw the publication of The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald's new hit novel. The very personification of the Jazz Age has done it again, this time with a compelling tale set in Long Island. Fitzgerald began the novel 2 years ago, writing it in both France and the United States. The Great Gatsby introduces readers to the dreamer Jay Gatsby and the glamorous yet unattainable Daisy Buchanan. He seems to capture the very essence of our times with yet another captivating story. This is Fitzgerald's third book since his debut novel, This Side of Paradise, which was an overnight literary success. Published by Charles Scribner's Sons in New York City, the book has received immediate acclaim from professional writers. Writers like T.S. Eliot, Edith Wharton, and Willa Cather all personally wrote Fitzgerald with the highest compliment, and the public seems to quite enjoy the clever and brilliant novel as well. F. Scott himself remarked before beginning the novel, "I want to write something new, something extraordinary and beautiful and simple and intricately patterned." Well, Mr. Fitzgerald, all of us here at Fox Movie Tone News certainly think you have accomplished that goal. And now, a message from the Women's Christian Temperance Union.
You were baptized with water and the Spirit, not liquor and spirits.
Only the little tramp of Charlie Chaplin could turn a somber story, based on that of the Donner Party, into an uproarious comedy, but at some cost. A whopping $923,886 made this the most expensive comedic film thus far, with a raw reel of 43 hours. Talk about your nickel's worth. Chaplin just barely contained his comical and quirky genius to an hour and a half. This has been hailed as Chaplin's finest work of acting, scripting, and directing to date. Who better to embody a beloved American tale of rags to riches than our own Charles Chaplin? On a bright sunny day on August 8th, the Ku Klux Klan marched down Pennsylvania Avenue. Police speculated over 30,000 participated in the procession as men, women, and children of the Klan walked down the streets of our capital in the traditional hooded Klan garb. The re-emergence of this group may be surprising, as the late 19th and early 20th century saw a drastic decrease in Klan membership. But make no mistake, the Klan is back, as they so clearly proved during their march, on a platform of anti-Jew, anti-Eastern European, anti-Catholic, anti-radical, anti-union, and anti-black sentiments. Just last year, the total membership number reached 5 million, with expansion into northern states. The march, which was organized by Imperial Wizard Hiram Wesley Evans to squash rumors that Klan membership had been decreasing lately, succeeded in catching the public's attention on a national scale.
Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola stands for purity.
The bubbles you love, the fun you've always had, but without the sin. Yes, Coca-Cola is the drink for you. It's a crisp, cold thirst quencher for clean memories and good times to be had over and over again. No policeman will come spoil your fun here. In fact, he may like to come over and clink glasses.
Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola stands for purity.
And now, let's hear from America's favorite editorial voice besides my own, our own Daisy Baker.
Thank you, Lowell. Hello, America. This is Daisy Baker. And first up, I'd like to give you my opinion on prohibition. Oh, America, clearly our age of adolescent rebellion is being held down by our parent government. Coolidge is attempting to uphold our Volstead curfew, but little does he know, most of his children are slipping out for a nightcap under his very nose. Uncle Sam has learned that he can't keep a handle on these boisterous youngsters, so he lets them run around unenforced. But we know that dear old Daddy Cal won't forfeit his laissez-faire, pro-business ways for silly little temperance. Alcohol has been ingrained on the American spirit and is being milled in deeper with every amber wave of spirit-swinging immigrants. And after a long day at the factory, what more could one want than to put up their feet and unwind with a warming drink? Is it a crime? Just because knives are sold at Sears Roebuck, does that mean they will be used for murder? I'm not afraid to say what you all are thinking, America. Making alcohol legal again will not result in liberty and drunkenness for all. If anything, prohibition is causing it. Smuggled alcohol is concentrated for more efficient sneaking and speedier intoxication. Bootleggers, scuzzy fellows like Al Capone, who use their cloak and dagger profit to fund murder and political interference, are coaxing more and more folks to turn from a government that they feel is oppressing their right to wash down and into a life of delinquency that seems less truant, considering the unjust infringement of prohibition. And I ask you, America, would Eve have even considered the apple if God had given her the go-ahead? We are setting up drinking to seem swanky and adventurous, wrongly, of course. Let liquor live or enforce its death. No more of this waffling about. Today's attempted inhibition is marked by short-handedness as much as it is underhandedness, officials making themselves susceptible to bribery. Some states, including notorious New York, have banned local police from investigating suspected violators. As for me, I say fiddlesticks to prohibition. Next they'll be telling us where we can and can't smoke our cigarettes. Who's with me? Now topic number 2. Now America. As much as defenders of the traditional ways hate to admit it, gone are the days of the prim and proper Gibson girls from years past. Our era has seen the birth of a new modern woman. It seems to me that these new women have been receiving a little too much flack for their groundbreaking new attitudes, and so I'd like to take this time to discuss the modern woman in all her glory. The modern woman is best recognized by her glamorous appearance. Ever the intrepid fashionista, she trailblazes in elevated hemlines, a taped chest, one-piece bathing suits, rouged cheeks, red lips, and all with the occasional cigarette dangling from her mouth. She is free from the oppressive stiffness of prim clothing, free to move and dance in a fashion that has never been possible before. The modern woman fearlessly takes on the political scene as well. No longer confined within a household sphere, she is free to voice her opinions thanks to that dazzling little 19th Amendment. A new era of politics in which women have a powerful effect on the government is certainly on the horizon. Nellie Ross, elected in Wyoming earlier this year, joined female political movement leaders like Margaret Sanger and Alice Paul. Miss Sanger continues to champion the birth control cause, and Miss Paul fearlessly campaigns for an equal rights amendment. Make no mistake, America, the modern woman has arrived, and she is a force to be reckoned with. The modern woman is the epitome of cosmopolitan life. The automobile invention means that we are no longer confined to the house, dependent on our men. Urban technology like vacuums, irons, and washing machines continue to make our household chores list shorter and shorter. We also gain independence from our working wages. That's right, America. It's the modern woman you see working diligently as retail clerks and office typists all over sprawling urban areas. And last but certainly not least, our attitudes. We do seem to have a certain sparkle about us, which perhaps comes from our devil-may-care demeanor and the fact that we aren't afraid to kiss a few lads before engagement. Why fuss about rules and codes of old when we're living in such a roaring time? In fact, the modern woman boldly smokes and flirts in public, all while looking exceptionally glamorous. Modern woman of the 1920s, this is Daisy Baker saying, "May 1926 be your brightest and boldest year yet." You there! Yes, you glamorous creature, you! You simply despise pasty skin and limp lashes, and we do too. Fix yourself up with the maximum of makeup, Max Factor. With a swipe here and a stroke there, you won't be the underdone wallflower anymore. You'll be the doll to take them all. Have that wow factor. Use Max Factor. And for my last segment, I turn it over to Mr. Chester Collins and his Cartoon Corner, where our resident cartoonist has cooked up a special masterpiece to commemorate this edition of Fox Movietone News.
Thanks, Daisy, and a special thanks to Mr. Chester Collins. Well, America, there you have it. As the year comes to a close, let us remain always patriotic, prosperous, and democratic. And let's raise a non-alcoholic toast to the proud nation we are today. In the spirit of the 20s, here is Fox Movietone News, wishing you a year filled with all the best of the jazz and snazz of our riveting, rollicking, roaring age.